Ready for breakfast? The president saying he doesn't want the feds to hold up their end of the bargain. Everybody have a good night's sleep. Ready for breakfast this morning? Ready for good breakfast? All right. Here's some milk. Milk does body good.
So after the life I've led, if caffeine and nicotine are my only vices, then I'm doing pretty well. My doctor says I'm not getting enough tar. Sometimes I think it's the only thing that's holding my lungs together. I never really considered plastic surgery, not honestly. Not that there's anything wrong with plastic surgery, I don't think so. If it makes somebody feel better about themselves, I'm all for that. It just wasn't right for me. I spent so many years pretending to be somebody else and hiding who I was, and if I had plastic surgery, for me, I would feel like I was continuing to hide something. I wasn't being true to myself, and that's the most important thing. For good or bad, that's it. You have to understand, there's no magic pill, and nobody will ever know. You have to have the courage to be yourself, because people are going to know. I mean, you've known people in your life, they're just not going to disappear. The people I have known in my past have embraced me, or at least they're still my friends. That's the most important thing, and they're kind to me and they understand and very tolerant. You know what, be honest with you, I don't think I could have been that tolerant. I really don't. I don't think in my past, I don't think I would have been that tolerant of somebody like me. So I'm grateful, so very grateful for the friends and family I have. But you will always have that past. You can have all the plastic surgery you want. You can move to a different place. You can start a new life. You can change your name. But from my point of view, all you're doing is you're just continuing what you did before. You're hiding from who you are. I spent most of my life hiding the real me. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life hiding who I was. That makes no sense to me. All right, what do you think?
Well, Mississippi lawmakers are working on a compromise that would change the way primary elections are held. The plan allows the public to cast votes for either Democrats or Republicans. Some black state legislators say the plan will dilute the strength of their vote.
All right, so this is my office. My title here is videographer editor. My job duties are I do the job of 5 people and a horse. That was the job requirements, I believe. And so far I've met them with the help of coffee. No one ever wants to see me or speak to me or have anything to do with me until I've had 2 cups of coffee. So, this is my desk, and this is where I do my work. And let's talk about, okay, my professional life. All right.
The candle was being used for light to see by at night.
So I got my first job in 1979, a station in Huntsville, Alabama, the NBC affiliate, and there was a wonderful station manager there who hired me, namely Brantley.
There has been no comment out of the mayor's office on what disciplinary action.
While I was still in college, and he just let me do whatever I wanted to do, whatever I wanted to learn. He gave me that kind of freedom.
Oil is the lifeblood of your car.
I even did several commercials for them.
Hi everybody, I'm Sam the Clown, and I'm here to tell these boys and girls and all of you about
This is my favorite one because it's the absolute worst thing I ever did in my life. Afterwards, when the client got ready to do their next commercial, someone on their board of directors said, "I don't care what we do, just don't get that damn clown again."
That's right, during the midst of a heat wave, what do you...
Sport coat in Campbell or Navy, regular $30, now only $3.99. Add this matching vest for only 99 cents.
That's incredible.
My very first reporting assignment was to fly to Los Angeles and interview the stars of the then NBC shows. The first person I interviewed was Tony Randall.
And
I was scared to death. And he was so nice that afterwards he said, you know, you come across as this little southern boy, but you are such a deceptive interviewer. Yeah, right. He was just being very, very kind. I was terrified. I didn't know what I was doing. He was right about one thing. I was a little southern boy.
It's a beautiful story.
There's one known picture of me as an infant. My mother said that she had all my infant pictures in a purse that got stolen. They could have taken more pictures, I guess, but I'm not saying it's not true. I'm sure it is, you know, but it does make you wonder. It does make me wonder sometimes. You know, maybe I was just too ugly to photograph. Maybe that's all it was to it. My mom, I mean, she loved me to death, but she said I was the ugliest little baby when I was born. So maybe that was their excuse. I remember at a very early age being told that boys don't sit that way, boys don't talk that way, boys don't play those games. By very loving and caring parents. You know, it wasn't done with any anger or anything like that. You know, they're just trying to raise me in the best way possible. Other than me being so weird at such a young age, I think I had a fairly normal childhood. Well, then the fact that I had 56 brothers and sisters, that'll shape you. My parents were foster parents, so in addition to my biological brother and sister, I had 54 brothers and sisters through a span of 7 years that came through our home. And I changed more diapers by the time I was 7 years old that I said I'm never doing that again. I guess that's why I don't have kids. Then the fact that the rule in my house is if you can't go to the bathroom by yourself and clean up afterwards, you can't stay in my house. That's why I have cats, litter boxes, you know. When I was 14 years old, my parents bought me Bell & Howell movie projector and a little Kodak 33L. Back in those days, you have to remember, you know, that for a child to have a movie camera or projector or the ability to make movies, that was something special. An incredible thing for my parents to do because it wasn't something they could afford easily, but they did it for me. And that's one of those things that it shaped my life. It gave me something that I love to do. I call myself an abstract expressionist, which means, as you can see, I'm a very terrible painter. But I just love doing it. I love the way the brush feels on the canvas. Let go. Let the painting decide what it wants to be, because it's far more talented at this than I am. High school is much like prison. You know, you can't show weakness or they'll eat you alive. It's a confusing time enough for people, but if you don't know who or what you are, that's not a pleasant experience. It's just not. I did a lot of crazy things. Got in a lot of trouble. I guess trying to prove I was a man. Because I didn't know what in the world I was. I was absolutely confused. It's tough enough to be 17 years old, for goodness sakes, but this is not an excuse at all for my bad actions in high school. Did a lot of bad things. Things that I really don't want to go into. But they were done. I can't explain it any other way than I absolutely lost my mind. I just did some stupid things. And I apologize to everyone that I hurt, especially my family. Amazingly, thanks to my mother, I did graduate on time, not from the same high school I attended originally. She had me transferred to the high school that she worked at, and I graduated. Unfortunately, my mother did not understand speed settings on a movie camera, so it looks like I graduated in 1907. And I wanted to go to Montevallo, University of Montevallo, and study theater with my best friend. But my parents knew that if I went away to school, I wouldn't last a month. So they wanted me to stay there in Huntsville and go to school, and most likely go to the University of Alabama in Huntsville, UAH. But I wanted to freak them out, so we lived about 3 miles from the historically black university, Alabama A&M. And I went out there to take a tour. And they had a television studio. And the moment I saw that television studio, that's it. That's it. That's what I want to do. That is what I want to do. And it all worked out, because by the time I was 20, I was working for a local television station there in Huntsville. And started a career. If you think back of how different your life would be had it not been for some small decision made by someone else, how different your life would be, the people you would have never known, the places you would have never seen, the experiences you would have never had, all because of that one person.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, a big softball game going on at Lee High School at this hour, featuring WZYP and the rock group Quarter Flash, and there's a rumor that Rick Springfield may be there. Mike Newton is standing by. Mike, is there any truth to that rumor?
Well, Bill, I've got a big surprise for you. This crowd has gathered here to see one person, and, well, you've got a treat coming. Rick, you've changed a lot over the years. I guess those road trips can really take a toll on you.
Well, I've let my beard grow, and I've changed my accent so that people don't recognize me and storm all over me.
I was a reporter at first the NBC affiliate in Huntsville, and then later the CBS affiliate in Huntsville. Did that for like 6-7 years. In 1985, I decided, now that I had my own life, my own money, that I wanted to go back and study theater like I originally had planned when I graduated from high school. And I thought, well, if I can get accepted to study at the Lee Strasberg Theater Institute, then I'm going to move to New York. That was my out, because I thought there's no way in the world that they're going to accept me. But they did accept me, and my wife and I moved to New York. Did I mention I was married? I didn't, did I? I was married for 9 years, and that went really well. In the beginning, it was wonderful. I was surrounded by and taught by legends. I mean, they were there. One of my mentors, Charlie Lawton, is also Al Pacino's mentor and best friend. And Charlie has MS, so I would help Charlie out, get him around places, which gave me the opportunity to meet Al, to watch him work on the set, on the stage, in rehearsals, which was like a dream come true. You know, at that point I was going, I can't believe I'm here. And I can't believe I'm talking to Al Pacino, and he's talking to me, and he's interested in me, in my career. I remember one time Al and Marty Sheen were doing Julius Caesar, and I went with Charlie to rehearsals, and there was a break. Al and Marty come over, and they asked Charlie, how's it looking, how's it going? And Charlie says, you know, it's just not there yet. It's just not happening. I'm not getting it. And my first response was, my God, Charlie, that's Al Pacino and Martin Sheen. You can't say that to them. And then it dawned on me, my goodness, everyone has to have a teacher. Everyone has to have a mentor. That person that's going to tell them, you can do so much better. There's so much more in you. Even if you're Al Pacino and Martin Sheen, you can always do better. I got a few roles in some movies and on television. I did stage work mostly, which is my favorite, but I had to change my name because there was already a Mike Newton and a Michael Newton in the acting union, so I had to use my middle name, John, but drop the H. And most of my acting career was spent working in a video store, waiting tables, working at a deli. I even wrapped meat at a butcher shop for a while. The greatest blessing that happened during that time, and one of the greatest blessings of my life, and as I get older, I realize what a tremendous blessing it was. That was getting to know Geraldine Page. And Geraldine was everything to me. She was everything I always wanted to be. She was this beautiful bohemian all of her life. She was the greatest actor in the English language. And there was nothing dishonest about Geraldine. What you saw in Geraldine was the truth. That was Geraldine. She was an angel sent from heaven with this incredible talent to be able to just see immediate truth and immediate lies. And she knew from the first moment that I was a big faker, that I was pretending to be someone I wasn't. And she demanded that I be who I am. I mean, she didn't know anything, I didn't know anything about my transsexuality, but you know, she may have probably thought I was gay, which I think is what she thought. But the main thing, most important thing, was that when I was around her, she made sure that I was honest with who I was. And I was comfortable being around her because I didn't have to worry about whether or not my actions were feminine or weird or anything like that. I was just able to be myself. And that was the first time in my life that had happened. And it was a wonderful time. I loved being around Geraldine, being with her. And then Geraldine died suddenly. And that part of my life collapsed and went away. shortly after Geraldine died, we moved to Easton, Pennsylvania. My wife took a job in Philadelphia, so that way she could commute to Philly, I could commute to New York. And basically what I did was stay in the basement with headphones on and drinking beer until I could pretend I was somebody else and hope that I didn't wake up in the morning. The key to self-destructive behavior is setting totally unrealistic goals for yourself. It's the only thing that gives your alcoholism and drug abuse credibility. Former alcoholics or hard drinkers will talk about those lost years. Those were my lost years. I found very little acting work because I was too drunk to even go to auditions most of the time. There I was, surrounded by all the people who could help me. I was set to succeed, and I threw it away. I literally pissed it away with that self-destructive behavior. So the last year of my marriage, my wife lived in Alabama and I lived in Easton. I certainly was not the husband she needed or deserved. But she was my best friend, and that was the toughest part when we finally got divorced. And then I lost my best friend. And that was really all I cared about, which wasn't enough for a marriage. So that was the time that I decided I was going to go see a therapist. Charlie Lawton is a recovering alcoholic, and he knew the signs on me. He knew my lies. He knew all those weak excuses. He knew the hangover smell. He knew what was going on with me. He was saying, go see a therapist. Find out why you are so self-destructive, why you hate yourself so much. And that's what I did. And that was when I was diagnosed with gender dysphoria, being transsexual. So that was great. I knew what the problem was. I knew why I hated myself, but there was nothing at all I could do about it because I made my living my entire life in front of a camera. I certainly couldn't become a woman on camera. No one's going to accept that. So I packed it away behind me and decided to get back into what I knew I did best, and that was being a journalist.
Police had obviously been investigating this house for some time, believing that it was the home of drug dealers. And last night around 8 o'clock, they stormed this house at 202 Franklin Street, breaking down the door. And what they found was well worth their efforts.
I took a job. I got a job, luckily. I shouldn't say I took it. I was lucky to get it as anchor and news director in Elmira, New York.
Now, those neighbors we spoke with were still so visibly shaken following this tragedy that they did not want to appear on camera to do an interview.
WENY, Weenie TV.
Who's that? The Lone Ranger? Who can that be over there, big fellow?
Leading this WENY war wagon into the fight is Randy Phillips, a veteran driver, mechanic, television director, and demolition commander.
Yeah, that's it. I did the job in Elmira for about 9 months, and then a friend of mine in Memphis saw an ad in the newspaper for a broadcast news coordinator in the Public Relations Department at the University of Mississippi. So that's what I applied for, just to make my parents in Alabama happy. You know, say, look, I'm trying to come back. I really am. I thought they're never going to hire me. They're not going to hire somebody living in New York State to come to Mississippi. They'll get somebody out of Memphis. And lo and behold, that's why they did hire me, because I was from New York. They thought I must have been smart. That's what I later heard. And hopefully, they probably regretted that. But I took that job, and while I was doing that job, they started a show called Mississippi Business Today, and I ended up being the host and senior producer for that.
Hello, I'm Michael Newton, and welcome to this edition of Mississippi Business Today. Here are the business headlines for the week ending December 29th, 1995. Multi-millionaire...
Did that for about 5 years. Loved it, absolutely loved it. Got to travel around the state of Mississippi. Anytime it was my own thing. It was my own show. I was in charge of it. I got to go when I wanted to, make my own schedule, do the stories I wanted to. As long as I had that thing on the air and looking good, we were fine. You know, I was golden, and it was very successful, and got a lot of accolades. When I first moved to Oxford, when I came here from New York, not long after I moved here, I bought a house in Batesville, Mississippi, which is about 30 minutes from here. Bought it for two reasons. One, it was a beautiful, restored Victorian cottage that I couldn't afford in Oxford. And more importantly, it was 30 minutes away, so I didn't have to worry about any of my friends or any of my co-workers just dropping by unannounced and catching me in my transsexual secret. But that's all I had over in Batesville, was that house. I was extremely lonely. I look at those pictures today and I can just feel the loneliness there. As much love that was in that house. And, you know, I have 3 cats, but when I look back on it, it was not an extremely happy time. None of that was.
Focus, the Mid-South. This is ABC 24
I thought,
News.
I'm going to go to Memphis and show them how to do news, and that was a mistake.
The suspect in the murder, David G. Hickerson, was captured today.
I would go to work at 4:30 in the morning. I would do radio news first, then I would anchor the morning news, and then I would go out and do a story and do a live shot at 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And sometimes, you know, there'd be breaking news and they'd throw me in a helicopter and fly me someplace.
See that guy with fear on his face? That's me, hanging out of a plane 14,500 feet in the air. So how did I get in this uncomfortable position?
And when the general manager of the television station wanted someone to jump out of a plane as a publicity stunt, I raised my hand. At that point, I didn't care if I lived or died. Yeah, I'll do it. But the good thing about it was my father was a paratrooper in the Korean War, and he must have called me 3 times that week to tell me how much I was going to enjoy it. I think in my entire career as a journalist, that was my father's proudest moment.
Why am I doing this? A midlife crisis, perhaps? When I was in my 20s, I was fearless and always reaching for the sky. Now I'm in my 40s, and I find I live life much closer to the ground. I want to find that fearless part of me again, that part of me that flies. There's no sensation to compare with this. Suspended animation, state of bliss. Can't keep my mind from the circling sky. Tongue tied and twisted, just an earthbound distant eye. I was looking for that fearless part of me I once knew, and I found we never truly lose any part of ourselves. But through the years, as we live our day-to-day lives, working jobs, paying mortgages, and raising children, we simply forget we all have the power to fly, if we only want to. Mike Newton, ABC 24, UPN 30 News.
What little personal time I had, I slipped back into my bad habits of drinking again and just stayed drunk, and to the point where I thought I have to do something or I'm going to die. There was so much fear that I thought if anyone ever finds out about my transsexuality, if anyone ever finds out, my life is ruined, it's over with, you know, I'm dead. Well, I faced death. I faced the possibility of drinking myself to death. So it couldn't have gotten any worse. That's what the conclusion I came to. And I finally just, I had to quit the job in Memphis. I knew I had to get off camera. I mean, there was no way I could transition on camera. I had to get off camera. After I hit rock bottom, it was like a godsend that I was researching my mother's Blackfoot heritage, and I came across the story of the Two-Spirit, which is what Native Americans call a person born with both a male and female spirit. And in many Native American groups, a Two-Spirit is sacred, is a very valuable person in their society, because they have this gift to see life through both male and female eyes. They consider that a blessing. And when I read that, it clicked. It clicked on me at that time that what I have, what I am, is not a curse. I carried it for so long thinking, why am I cursed with this? I'm crazy. It wasn't a curse at all. It was a blessing. And once I accepted that as a blessing and realized it, that's when my life fell into place. That's when I started to find happiness. And I found the courage to be me. That was the most important thing. So I quit that job in Memphis. Well, walked out on them, actually. Called a friend of mine back at Ole Miss who I worked with at the media productions department when I was doing Mississippi Business Today, and said, look, I don't care what you have, I just have to get out of here. And so I took the videographer editor's job, which was not the pay that I was used to, literally cut my salary in half, but I was no longer in front of the camera. And it gave me an opportunity to not work on my career, but work on my personal life. And that's what I did, got my personal life in order. I like to think that my transition was gradual and organic. I outed myself to my sister and my brother, but by this time my mother had become incapacitated by a stroke and my father was caring for her, and I just thought he just had enough to deal with. He didn't have to deal with what I was going through, so I never told him, and both my mother and my father passed away in 2005. So why didn't I go back to New York to transition, kind of blend in with the crowd, and in a place that most people deem as a little more tolerant than Mississippi.
The town of Oxford is an armed camp following riots that accompanied the registration of the first Negro in the university's 118-year history.
I came back here because I felt safe, thanks to people like then Chancellor Robert Kayat and Dr. Gloria Kellum. They had created this environment that everyone was to be respected, no matter who they are or what they are to be respected. And I'm not saying that everyone on campus respects me, but I'm honestly saying that no one has ever disrespected me to my face on campus, ever. I've always been treated with respect and with dignity. and with kindness. I'm grateful for that. Lord knows Ole Miss hasn't had the greatest history with being tolerant, but it's changed. A lot of changes to be made, a lot of changes still to be made. But I think the fact that I'm here and I'm accepted, I think that says a hell of a lot. To me, if there's a battle to be fought, it's not on the battleground already won. If there's a fight to be had, it has to be on a battleground not won. Before 1993, if you told me I'd ever be living in Mississippi, I'd say no way in hell. If you would have told me you'll be living in Mississippi and you'll be the happiest you've ever been in your life, I would say you're out of your gourd. Check yourself into a mental institution because you're crazy. But I have, and I love the place. You know, I think it's really easy for people to sit in certain parts of the country that deem themselves more tolerant, more liberal, pass laws to ensure equal rights. It's easy for those people to sit there and criticize places like Mississippi and its people without really knowing what it's about on an individual basis. It is my home now. Some people ask me, how do I handle people staring at me? Well, it's easy because I'm nearsighted. I honestly don't see it. I just don't. I thought at the time when I left Memphis, I thought, well, that's it. I'll no longer be able to do what I'm best at and what I enjoy doing the most, and that was being a reporter, being a journalist, doing stories, making documentaries and that sort of thing. Thank God, thank God, there's no other way to put it, that Dr. Samir Husni, who was the chair of the journalism department at the time, had me transferred into the journalism department. He, and then later Dean Will Norton and Assistant Dean Charlie Mitchell, gave me the opportunity to be a journalist again. To do what I wanted to do. To do the work that I loved to do. And I had that opportunity again. So, for the first time in my life, I had my personal life and my professional life balanced. And that was happiness. That was something I never thought I'd have that professional life back again. I never thought I'd be able to be a journalist again, to make movies, or to even be in front of a camera again. I hate being in front of a camera now. I hate the way I look, but that's something I had to get over. Whoever you are, whatever you do, you have to have that balance of a personal and professional life. And that you shall find happiness. Let's talk about my home life. First of all, my house smells like lavender and cigarettes and cat pee, but it keeps the zombies and most people away. So. When I moved back to Oxford from Memphis, I moved here, and I love it. I absolutely love this place. As you can see, it's like a museum. It has character, let's say, and it is my fortress of solitude. I can honestly say that my favorite thing in the entire world is to be at home with my cats. It really is. And I'm a crazy cat lady. I'm not even just a crazy cat lady. I'm like a crazy animal lady. I have wildlife all over the place. I have raccoons. I have foxes. Every day it's like a new feral cat that shows up, but I have an entire family of feral cats. I was at the grocery store buying all this cat food and animal food, and a guy asked me, he said, how many animals do you have? And I said, well, we have to narrow that down. Let's start with cats. Yeah. There's just so much beauty around me now, or at least there probably always was. I just never saw it before. And I do, and I appreciate every little thing that I see now. I never get tired of saying what a beautiful day. It's good to be the queen. So in 2005, I met all the requirements to have gender reassignment surgery, but I couldn't afford it. So my therapist asked me one question. She asked, are you happy? And you know what? I was. And I am. I am a two-spirit, a person born with both a male and a female spirit, able to see life through both male and female eyes. And through the eyes of most people, I have nothing. But through my eyes, I have the world.
Make the world go away. Get it off my shoulder. Say the things you used to say, and make the world go away. Do you remember when you loved me? Before the world took me astray. If you do, then forgive me and make the world go away. Make the world go away. Get it off my shoulder. Say the things you used to say, and make the world go away. Oh, I'm sorry if I hurt you. I'll make it up day by day. Just say you love me like you used to, and make the world go away.